Hello there, and in this session we are going to cover all the types of load balancers which are present in AWS along with the demo. So first we are going to begin with the application load balancer. Second, we are going to take a look onto the network load balancer, and third we are going to take a look onto the gateway load balancer. And all the load balancers demos timestamps are present into the description section. So if you are interested in learning any specific load balancer, then you can jump to that specific section. And all the demos are independent of each other, so you can just skip any of the part which you are not interested in learning. So let's get back to the screen and start with our load balancer. And first we are going to begin with our application load balancer. Before we jump into the demo, it's good idea to take a look onto our targeted architecture which we are gonna implement. So at a first glance, this particular diagram might look complicated to you, but we are gonna break down this whole diagram into each block. So here on the left hand side, you will see this is a user which will try to access our application load balancer, and from there application load balancer is going to share the load between the EC2 instances, and these EC2 instances are running into the public subnet, and this public subnet is present inside our VPC. A short pause over here, and if you're liking this kind of a content on AWS, then I have recently launched my Udemy course on AWS Masterclass for Networking. And this course is 10-hour long course, and it includes 100+ chapter, which you can see there are various sections, and each section of this particular course include multiple chapter along with the demos. The course is divided into the 3 level. One will start with the basic level, second will be the intermediate level, and third will be the expert level. And at the end of this particular course, you will see a Terraform which we quite use a lot in the industry. So I will give you a really good walkthrough and demos including the Terraform plus networking, followed with a DevOps project where we will be using all the concepts which we have learned in this particular course so far. And in which certification this particular course is going to help you. So it is going to help you in like a cloud practitioner, developer associate, DevOps engineer, SysOps administrator, advanced networking, solution architect, and professional solution architect certification if you are planning to do those certification for AWS. Please find the course link into the description section with the discount code, and let's get back to the topic. Alright, so let's start with our first basic building block for this whole setup. So that is going to be the VPC. So here you can see this is the VPC which we need to create onto our AWS environment. So I'm just going to switch to my AWS console. So this is my AWS console. Type in the search box VPC, click on the VPC. Here click on create VPC. Click on VPC only because we are only interested in creating VPC. Enter the name. So I'm just going to put test VPC. Then we need to specify the IP ranges. So here I'm just going to choose the IP range. This is a user defined. You can change and you can put your own default IP range which you want to have it. Okay, so that I have specified tenancy, I'm just going to keep it default. Tag, I'm just going to keep it test VPC. And after that, you just click on create VPC. And here you can see our VPC has been created, which you can verify by clicking over here. And here you can see this is the test VPC which we have just created. Moving ahead, the next block which we need to create for this targeted architecture is the internet gateway. So this is the internet gateway which we are going to associate with our VPC. So again, switch back to our console, and here onto VPC dashboard, you will find an option for an internet gateway. So just click on here. Here you can see there is no internet gateway has been created. Click on internet gateway. Then here you can specify the name. So I'm just going to copy from my notepad and paste it over here. And this is the IGW. That's the abbreviation I'm keeping it. And the key name, the tag name, I'm just going to keep it name and internet gateway test. So click on create internet gateway. And here you can see our internet gateway has been created. But remember that internet gateway is not associated with the VPC, which you can verify from here. So this internet gateway has been created, but state is detached. So you need to click on this internet gateway, go to action, go to attach VPC, and here you need to select the test VPC, which we have just created in the previous step. So attach to internet gateway. And now our internet gateway is ready. Moving back to our diagram, the next block which we need to create over here is the subnet. So here we are going to create 2 subnets. Both are going to be a public subnet, and these are the IP ranges which we are going to assign to those subnets. So let's switch back to our AWS console, and here in the VPC, not VPC, but on a VPC dashboard, you will find an option for a subnet. So here you can see these are the subnets. Click on it. So here these are the default subnet which has already been created for you, but we don't need to use that. We are going to create our own public subnet. So click on create subnet over here. Then you need to select the VPC. So select test VPC because we are going to work inside our test VPC. Okay, so now we have selected the test VPC, and then we need to enter the name of our public subnet. So I'm just going to put the name test public subnet 1A. So I'm just going to explain to you why I'm using 1A, because I'm present in the Europe zone. So that's why I'm using the Europe Central 1A. That's the availability zone. So I'm just going to select that one. After that, we need to specify the IP range for my public subnet. So I'm just going to use the IP range over here. So I have just copied and pasted. So here the value which I have pasted. So 12.0.1.0/24. So I will have a 256 IPs available within my subnet. So that's my first public subnet which I have created. I need to create one more public subnet so that we can create two EC2 instances inside those subnet, and then we can load balance the traffic onto those EC2 instances. So that's just a heads up for you. Okay, so here I'm just going to copy another value. So I just going to paste the name, and sorry, this is not the correct. So I'm just going to copy the name from the top, go over here, and here I'm just going to change it to 1B. So that I can provision this subnet into another zone. And here I'm just going to specify the zone, that is Europe Central 1B. After that, I need to specify the IP range. So I'm just going to check what IP range I have specified. So it's a 12.0.3.0. So I'm just going to copy from my notepad, go back to my AWS console, paste the value over here, and the tags, that's fine. I'm just going to click on create subnet. And here you can see our subnet has been created. If you go back to dashboard, and if you click on subnet, then here you can see these are the two subnets which we have just created. Now, after creating the subnets, we need to create the route table also, so that this public subnet can have the access to the internet, because internet gateway and the subnets are still not connected with each other. And for that, we need a route table. So here you will also find an option on the left hand side to create a route table. So click on it. And here these are the default route table, but we are not going to use that one. We are just going to create a new one. So here I'm just going to put the name of the route table. So test public RT. RT is the abbreviation for a route table. Then again, we are working in a single VPC. So the VPC which we have created is the test VPC. I'm just going to select that one. The key, I'm just going to go with the default value, and then just click on create route table. Check the route tables over here. So here you can see our route table has been created. The next thing which we need to do, we need to provide an internet access to this route table. And also we need to associate this route table with our subnet. So first of all, we are just going to associate this route table with our subnets. So I'm just going to click on subnet association, go to edit subnets. And here you can see both the subnet which I have created. So select both of them and save association. So now this route table is being associated with these subnets, but still these subnets don't have the access to our internet. And for that, we need to create a route. So here go on to routes. Inside the route table, click on edit routes. And here click on add route, and here you need to enter the IP. So this 0.0.0.0 means it will have an internet access, and anyone can access those public subnet, or any resource present inside that public subnet will be accessible. So that's just a heads up for you. Now we need to select the internet gateway, because internet gateway is responsible for providing the internet access for this route table. So I'm just going to select the internet gateway, and here you need to the internet gateway name will pop up, because this is the internet gateway which we have just created. So select this internet gateway, and after that you can just click on save changes. All right, so now this route table has an internet gateway which is linked to internet, and now we are having the subnets also. All the public subnets are associated with this particular route tables. Now, after creating the route table, let's take a look onto the diagram first and check on the next block which we are going to create. So here, these are the things which we have achieved so far. We have created the VPC, we have created the internet gateway, we have created the subnet, and we have also created the route table. Now, the next thing which we need to create is we need to create the EC2 instances. So we will create two EC2 instances, one in first subnet and another one into another public subnet. So we have already created the two public subnet inside our AWS. So let's switch back to our AWS console over here and go to home page of our AWS console. Click on EC2, or either you can type over here. So EC2 over here. And here you can see there are no instances running. So click on launch instances. And here we are just going to put the name test EC2 instance 1. Second, we need to choose the base operating system. For that, I'm just going to choose Ubuntu. After that, I need to choose the architecture. So I'm just going to go with x86. I'm just going to choose t2.micro because this is just for demo purpose. Key pair, I'm just going to choose, I'll just create a new key pair. So test ALB demo key pair. All right, then create key pair. And remember, once you create this key pair, then here it is going to download this key pair for you. Okay, and also it is going to associate this public key. So here you can see in the drop down, the public key has been associated with our EC2 instance. And this is the private key which we have downloaded, which we are going to use later. Okay, so now we have created the key pair. Go to network setting. This is important because here we need to change few things. And the few things I'm talking about is we need to associate our test VPC, which we have just created. So here from the drop down, just select the test VPC, which we have created. Then from the drop down menu, you need to select the public subnet. So by default, it will populate those subnet which we have created. So first of all, for first instance, I'm just going to go with the test public subnet 1A. So that has been selected. Assign public IP. So I'm just going to say enable it. Yes. Create security group. That's important because we are just going to create some security group rules over here. So here you can see by default, we are allowing the SSH. So whenever this EC2 instance starts, so we will be able to SSH into this EC2 instance on a port 2020. But also we need to enable the port 80 so that we can access the Apache which we are going to install onto this EC2 instance. So for that, click on add security rule, and instead of custom TCP, we are just going to choose the HTTP, and here port 8080, source type from anywhere. So we will be able to access this EC2 instance from anywhere in the world. So I think that's good. So remember, we need to create at least these two security groups. One is for SSH and one is for HTTP port 80 so that it is accessible from outside AWS environment. All right, so that we have done it. The default storage, we are going to go with the 8 GB. And in the advanced details, here we need to do few more things. So if you go down, then here is the user data section where you can write down the packages which you want to get it installed onto your EC2 machine. So if you don't know what is user data, then please check the previous session where I have explained like what is user data and how you can use the user data to bootstrap or pre-install certain software packages. But just to give you a brief, I'm just going to copy one of my script, which is, I'm just going to show you, which is this. So here what we are going to do, we are just going to update the package manager. We are just going to install the Apache 2, and after that we are just going to update the index.html so that it can print the host name of that EC2 instance. So that's the simple thing I'm just trying to achieve over here. All right. So once we are done with all this thing, what we are going to do, we are just going to click on this launch instance button. So click on launch instance. Okay, so here our instance has been launched. So click on this instances, and here right now it is in a pending state. So I'll be back once this instance is up and running. So after a minute or so, my instance is up and running, and here you can see the status which is running. So click on this instance ID, and here you will find the public IP. So first we need to verify our Apache whether it has been installed or not. So I'm just going to copy this address, go to browser and hit enter. So here you can see these are the server detail. I'm just going to zoom in a bit over here so that you can see. So this is the IP which we are trying to print over here so that we can later on verify once we provision the load balancer so that which request is going to which EC2 instance. So this is the internal IP address which you can see 12.0.1.142. And now this IP range you can know that this is the same IP range we have specified for our public subnet. So now we are getting the IP addresses for our EC2 instance from that particular range. Okay, so I'm just going to close this window over here, and I'm just going to click on EC2. So as of now, I'm just going to refresh it again. So here you can see one instance running. So now we have provisioned one EC2 instance, but we need one more EC2 instance into another public subnet. So for that, I'm just going to click on this launch instance, and here I'm just going to put test EC2 instance, and I'm just going to put 2, select Ubuntu. Then here you just need to select the architectural type. I'm just going to go with the default x86 T2 micro, and here I'm just going to choose the key pair name which I have just created. I think it is test ALB demo key pair. Network setting, I'm just going to edit it, select the VPC which is test VPC which we have just created, and here subnet I'm just going to choose 1B. Okay, and here auto assign, enable it. Create security group, yes, we want to create a security group, and for that we are just going to go with the default which is SSH22 because we want to SSH into our EC2 instance, but also we want to enable the HTTP on a port 80. So, and also I just want to exit it from anywhere. Okay, so now we have defined this security group rule. The next thing which we need to do is configure storage. I'm just going to stick with the default one, but in the advanced detail, I'm just going to go with the user data. So here, this is the section. I'm just going to copy the script to install the Apache, and that's been done. And after that, I think it looks good. So I'm just going to hit on launch instance. Okay, so click on launch instance. All right. So let's go back to instances, and here you can see it is in pending state. So I'll be back once this second instance is up and running. All right, so now my second instance is up and running. So let's verify a few things over here. So I'm just going to copy the IP address, which is the public IP address, and verify my Apache 2 page. So click on it, and here you can see, I'm just going to zoom in a bit. So this is the IP which has been assigned for this EC2 instance, and now it is 12.03 and then 160. So it's again coming from the default IP range which we have assigned for our another public subnet, and which you can verify from here also. So here you can see the same IP which is available over here. So now we have provisioned our EC2 instances, and now we have installed the Apache, but we have not yet configured the target group, which we are going to do the next. But before we create a target group, let's take a look onto our architectural diagram. So here you can see we have achieved so far like VPC, internet gateway, subnets, and also we have provisioned the EC2 instances. So now what we need to do, we just need to create our target group. So target group is just a logical units where we are going to club these EC2 instance into this single target group, so that later on Elastic load balancer can point to this particular target group. I know it sounds complicated, but let's take a look onto our AWS console, and then you are going to understand what I'm trying to say over here. All right, so this is my EC2 dashboard. So click on this EC2 dashboard homepage, and on the left navigation menu, there is an option for a load balancing, and inside the load balancing, there is an option for a target group creation. So click on target group, and here you can see this section is empty. So we need to create a target group, and inside that target group, we need to include both the EC2 instances. So first of all, let's click on create target group. Here, there are certain types of target group which you can create, but for this example, we are just gonna stick with the EC2 instance or instances type target group. So just select this one, go ahead, and here you need to enter the name. So I'm just gonna put the test EC2 ALB demo target group. So TG is for abbreviation. IP address type, so I'm just going to stick with IP4. VPC, because everything we are doing into the test VPC, so we need to select the test VPC over here. Protocol version, I'm just going to stick with HTTP1. The health check endpoint, I'm just going to go with the default root, because as you can see, we are just able to access our home page and we don't have any path which is like this. So we don't need to specify anything. So I'm just going to go with the root path. Okay. Go ahead, advanced health check setting. I'm just going to stick with the default. We don't need to change it. Tags, it's optional. So I'm just not going to assign any tag name. Click on next over here. And as soon as you click next, then you can see all the EC2 instances running, which are ready to be included. So here you can see, here you can select the EC2 instances which you want to include. So I'm just going to select these, and both of the EC2 instances are running. And now I have selected both of it. Now, after selecting, you need to click on include as a pending below. So here it will be included and it will be accessible on a port 80. So I'm just going to click include as pending below. And here you can see these targets are now included. And after that, you just need to click on the create target group. So click on this create target group over here. And here you can see our target group has been created. So click on this create target group, and yeah. So as of now, the health status is unused, as you can see over here, but you just need to wait for a couple of minutes and the health status should change to healthy. One correction I'd like to make over here. So here you can see the health status is unused because we have not created the application load balancer. So once we create the application load balancer, then this status will change. So now what we need to do, we just need to create our application load balancer. But before we create our application load balancer, let's take a look onto our architectural diagram. So here you can see we have come far away. So we have created VPC, internet gateway, public subnet, private subnet. We have provisioned the EC2 instance, and also we have created a targeted group. Now the next component which we need to create is we need to create an application load balancer. So let's go back to our application console, AWS console, and here click on EC2 dashboard, and in the left navigation you will find an option for a load balancing, and here you will find an option for a load balancer. So click on this load balancer, and here you can see there are no load balancer has been created. So click on this load balancer button, and here you will find the three types of load balancer, which is application load balancer, network load balancer, and gateway load balancer. But here we are only interested into application load balancer. So we are just going to choose this one. Okay, so click on create over here. So now what we need to do, first of all, we need to assign the name for a load balancer. So I'm just going to assign the test LB for EC2 demo. Okay, so that's the name. The scheme is internet facing. So yes, we want to have it as an internet facing load balancer. Into the network mapping, and as I have told many times, we are just working under a VPC which we have created, and the name of the VPC is test VPC. So in the drop down you will find the test VPC, just select that one. And once you select the test VPC, then you will automatically get the subnets which we have created. So here we have created the one public subnet which is in EU Central 1A, and another one. We need to select both of it, otherwise our application load balancer will not work. Okay. The next thing which we need to create over here is the security group. So there is a one default security group which has been created, but we need to create a one more security group for port 80 and for accepting the HTTP request. So for that, what I'm just going to do, I'm just going to click on this create security group over here, and I'm just going to put security group for ALB demo, and allow access from internet. That's the description I'm just gonna put here. We need to choose the VPC info. So here, if you click on this one, then I'm just gonna choose test VPC. Inbound rule, add, click here and type HTTP. And here I'm just gonna choose the port 80, and source I'm just gonna put 000 so that anyone from anywhere can access this load balancer. Okay, so that this security group has been created. I'm just going to copy this security group name because that will be needed to add this security group. And I'm just going to click on create security group. Cannot begin with SG. Okay, so I need to change it. Okay, so let's put security group for ALB demo. And I'm just going to click on create security group. All right, so this security group has been created. I'm just going to copy this name from here, and I'm just going to close this window. I'm just going to refresh this page over here, and here we should find that security group. So that's the security group which we have just created. Select that one. So now we have selected the default as well as the security group for allowing the HTTP request on a port 80. All right. Now here in the listeners and routing, so here we need to select the target group. So let's take a look onto the diagram once again so that it's easy to understand. So here in the green box, which is, you can see this is our target group. So this target group we need to select for this load balancer, and this target group which we have already created. So if you go over here in the target group, so here you can see, so this is the target group which we have already created, and inside the target group we have both the instances, EC2 instances running. So I'm just going to copy this name from here, and into this listener and routing I'm just going to select. Here you can see it is by default coming because that's the only target group I have inside my AWS account. So I'm just going to select that one. And the listener tag is optional, so I'm just going to skip that one. Add-on services are optional, so I'm just going to skip that one. So here, just take a look onto this summary over here. So the basic configuration for this auto application load balancer is, this is an internet facing, this is an IP4. Security group, we are allowing the HTTP 80. This is the security group which we have created. This is the default one. So I'm just not going to change that one. So this is the VPC, and this VPC is test VPC. And these are the subnets, the two subnet which I have created, which are public subnet. And this is the target group. So this is the target group inside where we are having two EC2 instance running. All right, so now we can just click on create load balancer. And as you can see, successfully created the load balancer. So just go on to load balancer tab once again, and here just wait for a couple of minutes because it's still into the provisioning state. So it might take a couple of minutes to provision this whole load balancer. So I'll be back once this auto load balance application load balancer is up and running. All right, so after a couple of minutes, my application load balancer is in an active state. So click on this application load balancer over here, and here you will find the details, and the detail which we are looking for is the DNS name, so that we can access that application load balancer. So here you can see the DNS name which is present. So you can just copy this DNS name from here, go to the new tab and hit enter. And here you can see, I'm just going to zoom in a bit so that you can see. So now the request has been routed to the EC2 instance 2. I'm just going to refresh it once again. So here you can see the request is landing on another EC2 instance because the IP address has been changing. So again, refresh it. So here you can see the IP address has been changed, and we can verify the EC2 instances here also just to reconfirm what's the IP address. So EC2 instances. So I'm just going to open this one and this one. So the instance IP address, I'm just going to zoom in a bit if it is too small. So 12.03.160. And another one is 12.01/.142. So these are the two IP address. And if I refresh this, so the request is going to the 1/142, and then another request is going to the 3/160. So that's how we are just gonna set up the application load balancer, and that application load balancer is responsible for sharing the requests between the EC2 instances which you have set up inside your VPC. So let's take a look onto the architectural diagram once again. So this was the target architectural diagram, and the last pieces were just nothing. It was just a few arrows. So here this was the user, and it is accessing the application load balancer, and the requests are being routed to both the EC2 instances. So here you can see, and the user is us, and this is the DNS name through which we are accessing the application load balancer, and then the request is getting routed to both the EC2 instances. Here is our target layout which we are going to implement as an end result of this session. So here we will be setting up an EC2 instance within our VPC, which will have a subnet, internet gateway, route table, and EC2 instance running within that particular subnet. We'll also set up a target group where we will be adding our EC2 instance to that target group, and after adding that, we are going to set up our application load balancer as well as our network load balancer. And also I'm just going to show you like what are the differences between the application load balancer and when we are trying to access our network load balancer. So for this session, we need to understand what's the basic difference lies between the NLB, which we call it as a network load balancer, as well as application load balancer. So this is our target layout which we are going to implement throughout this session, and there are two components which are important for this target layout. One is application load balancer and one is NLB, which is our network load balancer, and which is our key topic for this particular session. But why I have kept ALB and NLB into this implementation is because you need to understand the basic difference between ALB and NLB and when you need to use it. But don't worry about it. We are just going to break down this whole layout into bits and pieces, and we are just going to implement each component. So on a crux level, I will say that we are going to set up an VPC. We are going to set up a subnet. Inside the subnet, we will have an internet gateway, route table, and EC2 instance. And for that EC2 instance, we will be creating a target group so that load balancers can point to this target group. So once after creating a target group, then we are going to create an application load balancer, and we are also going to create a network load balancer. So any of the load balancer will have access to that target group so that it can reach to the EC2 instance. And at the end user like us, we will be using the URLs for application load balancer, as well as we will be using a URL to access our network load balancer. So let's jump into this session and start setting up our whole networking first. Let's start with our first component, and that is our VPC within our AWS account. So this is the first VPC which we are going to create, and with the IP range 11.0.0.0. So let's get over to our AWS console and start setting up our VPC. So here a short pause over here, and if you're liking this kind of a content on AWS, then I have recently launched my Udemy course on AWS Masterclass for Networking. And this course is 10-hour long course, and it includes 100 plus chapter, which you can see there are various sections, and each section of this particular course include multiple chapter along with the demos. The course is divided into the 3 level. One will start with the basic level, second will be the intermediate level, and third will be the expert level. And at the end of this particular course, you will see a Terraform, which we quite use a lot in the industry. So I will give you a really good walkthrough and demos, including the Terraform plus networking, followed with a DevOps project where we will be using all the concepts which we have learned in this particular course so far. And in which certification this particular course is going to help you. So it is going to help you in like a cloud practitioner, developer associate, DevOps engineer, SysOps administrator, advanced networking, solution architect, and professional solution architect certification if you are planning to do those certification for AWS. Please find the course link into the description section with the discount code, and let's get back to the topic. You can see this is my AWS console, and go to your home page and type VPC over here. Click on VPC, and here there are a couple of VPC which I have already created, but for this session we are just going to create a fresh VPC. So click on create VPC over here. And here we are going to choose the option VPC only, and here we are going to put a name for it. So I'm just going to put a demo NLB VPC. Then we need to specify the IP range. So I'm just going to put 11.0.0.0/16. And I'm just going to stick with the default setting over here. I'm not going to use IPv6, and that key and value, I'm just going to keep it default. And after that, click on create VPC. And if you go to the VPC dashboard once again, and here you can see there are 3 VPCs. Go to the VPCs and you will be able to verify your VPC, which is this one, demo NLB VPC. Click on this VPC, and here are the details related to your VPC. After creating the VPC, the next resources which we need to create is the subnet, and the subnet we are talking about is the public subnet and the private subnet. So within the VPC, we are just gonna create 2 public subnet and 2 private subnet, and the range for the private and public subnet, which you can see over here, is public will have 11.0.1.0, and the another public subnet within that VPC will have 11.0.2.0. And similarly, the private subnet will have we will create 2 private subnet, and both the private subnet will have IP ranges ending with 3.0 and 4.0. So 1.0, 2.0 for public, and 3.0 and 4.0 for our private subnet. Let's go to our AWS console once again for creating the subnet, and again click on VPC dashboard over here and click on subnets. And here are some of the default subnets which I have already created, but I'm not going to use those. I'm just going to click on create new. First of all, we need to select the VPC. So if you take a look onto the diagram over here, then these subnets lies within this particular VPC. So we need to choose the VPC which we have just created. So go back to your console and select the VPC. So our VPC is demo NLB VPC. Select that one. And here I'm just going to put the subnet name. So I'm just going to put the demo NLB public subnet 1A. 1A I am suffixing it because we need to choose the region. So differentiate that. That's why I'm using the 1A. So here you will see the availability zone, and here I'm just going to deploy it inside my Europe Central 1A. That's why I have suffixed it with 1A. And IP range, as I told you, we are just going to stick with 1.0 and 2.0 for public IP. So I'm just going to put 0.1.0/24. So 24 is just defining the IP ranges. So if I choose 16, then my IP ranges will increase. So here you can see 65,000. But since it's a demo, so I'm just going to choose 24 so that I have a 256 IPs which are sufficient for a demo. Okay, so this is our first public subnet. And click on add one more new subnet. I'm just going to copy this name from here, paste it over here, and I'm just going to choose 1B availability zone. I'm just going to choose different availability zone so that I have maximum availability. And IP range, I can copy it from here and paste it over here also, but here I will choose 2.0. Okay, and now we have created our public subnet. So let's create private subnet here as well. So click on add new subnet and paste the name. Sorry, I just need to copy the name once again from the top. So I'll copy this name and paste it over here, and instead of public I'm just gonna make it private and put it 1A. Availability zone, I'm just going to choose 1A. I'm just going to copy the IP range from the top, and for private we have chosen to go with 3.0, and that's it. I'm just going to copy this name once again because we are just going to create a one more private subnet. So go ahead, click on add new subnet, paste that one, select it to 1B, change the availability zone to 1B. And IP range, I'm just going to copy the IP range from here, put it over here and make it 4.0. And now we are done with it. So here you can see the subnet 4 of 4. So we have created 4 subnet, 2 public subnet and 2 private subnet. And if you take a look onto the diagram, so these are the IP ranges. Since I have a very limited space on my slide, so that's why I cannot create 4 different boxes because there are more components I'm just gonna fit to it. So I have just mentioned over here the IP ranges so that you know that we are working with the 2 public and 2 private subnet. Okay, so once we are done with it, just verify the details once again by going up, and it looks correct to me. And then what we are gonna do, we are just gonna click on create subnet. And here you can see our subnets has been created. And if you want to look a very like a filtered view, so from the drop down you can select the VPC which we have created. So just select a demo NLB VPC so that it will not be so many records popping up over here. So you will see only the resources which belongs to your VPC. So that's just a quick tip for you. Let's move ahead, and the next resource which we need to add to our networking setup is our internet gateway. And internet gateway is just a route to getting an internet access. So we need to attach to the public subnet because any resource present within the public subnet will have access to internet, as well as any resource within the public subnet should be accessible from outside of our VPC so that I can access from my local laptop. Although we need to set up our route table and other restrictions over there, but internet gateway in a crux, we need to set it up with our public subnet so that it is our resources can access the internet. Okay, so let's go back to our AWS console, and here you can see these are the subnets which we have created. Let's go back to our VPC dashboard once again, and from the left navigation we can select internet gateway. So click on this one and click on create internet gateway. And here we need to put the name. So I'm just going to put a demo NLP IGW for internet gateway abbreviation. And after that, just simply click on create internet gateway. And if you go back to internet gateway dashboard and just refresh this thing. Sorry, we need to remove the filter because internet gateway is not attached to VPC yet. So here you can see this is the demo NLB internet gateway which we have created, but this internet gateway is still an open internet gateway. We need to attach it to our VPC. So click on this internet gateway over here, and here you can see the state is detached. So if you take a look onto the diagram, so this internet gateway is present within the VPC. So we need to make this attachment happen. So I'll go over here, click on actions, click on attach to VPC, and then select the VPC, which is our demo NLB VPC. Select that one, click on attach internet gateway. And here you can see our internet gateway has been attached. All right, so now after attaching the internet gateway to our VPC, then the next resource which we need to create is the route table. And the route table we are going to create is for our public subnet as well as for our private subnet. So these are the 2 route tables which we need to create. So let's get back to our AWS console over here and go back to our VPC dashboard once again. And from the left navigation menu, you can also find the option for a routes table, and from the dashboard you can also find the route table option. So select that one, and here if you remove the filter, then you can see the other route table, but we are not interested in those. We will create our own route tables over here. So click on create route table. So first thing we are going to create is our public route table. So I'm just going to put demo NLB public RT. I'm going to use for route table abbreviation. Then select the VPC. Since we are working in the VPC, so we need to select the VPC, which is our demo NLB VPC. So from the drop down, go and select demo NLB VPC. Tag, I'm just going to keep everything default and then click on create route table. And here you can see our route table has been created. I'm just going to copy this name to create our private route table as well. So click on route tables, go to create route table, then put it over here, change it to private, and the VPC, I'm just going to select demo NLB VPC and then click on create route table. And here you can see our both the route tables has been created for NLB demo, which is our public route table, and our private route table. Now let's take a look onto the diagram once again. So we only created the route table, but we have not attached this route table to our public subnet. So similarly, this private route table is also not attached with our private subnet. So we need to go back and attach or make those kind of association. So let's go back to our route table dashboard. So open the public route table over here and click on subnet association. So here click on it, and here you can see the subnet association is completely empty over here. So click on edit subnet association, and since we are working into our public subnet, so I'm just going to attach to our public and this one. So we are going to attach to our attach our public subnet to this particular public route table. Click on save association. And we have updated our route table with our public subnet association. So again, go back to our route tables and select the private route table. Go back to subnet association, click on edit subnet association, and then select private subnets over here, and then click on save association. Okay, so now our route tables has been attached, so which we can verify once again. So here you can see public route table, this is public route table, and these are our public subnets attached to it, associated with it. Similarly, if we go back onto our private, then here we can see our subnets for our private route table is our private subnets. Okay, there is one more thing we need to set for our public route table is our route to the internet gateway. So if you take a look onto this diagram, so here you can see this is the internet gateway which we have created, but we have not created any route inside this route table for this internet gateway. So that is important because we are working into public subnet and we need to attach this internet gateway to this particular route table. So go back to our route table, click on this route table, and we are going to choose public route table. So click on this one. And here you can see the routes. This is a default route for our subnet. So I'm just going to click on edit routes, click on add, and here I'm just going to choose the IP 0.0.0, which means this is our, we are allowing all the IP addresses for this particular route. And click on target route. So here I'm just going to choose internet gateway. And if you click on this one, then you will find a demo NLB internet gateway, which we have just created. So select that one and then click on save changes. And here you can see our public route table now have our internet gateway as well as our subnet association, which is our public subnet, and which you can compare from our diagram over here. So here you can see this public subnet is now ready with our internet gateway as well as our route table. Let's move ahead to the second chapter, and in this chapter we are going to set up our EC2 instance. So here you can see this is the same setup we are just carrying forward, and now we are going to set up our EC2 instance into our public subnet. So again, go back to your AWS dashboard, go to the home page, and in the search box you can type EC2, click on this EC2 over here. And here you can see no instances running, so I'm just going to click on launch instances. And here we are going to put the name of my instance. So I'm just going to put demo NLB EC2, and I'm just going to put 1 because we are going to spin up multiple EC2 instances over here. I'm just going to go with my Ubuntu as my default operating system for my Linux machine. And I'm just going to stick with t2.micro. And key pair, I have already created this key pair AWS EC2 terraform.pub, but here for the demo I'm just going to create a new key pair so that we can SSH into that EC2 instance. So click on create new key pair, and here you can type demo NLB key. Click on create key pair, and here you can see the private key has been downloaded for you. And yeah, and the public key for this particular setup has been attached to your EC2 instance from the drop down, which you can see. Okay, we are just going to use that private key later, but for the time being, let's continue ahead with our networking setup. So here you can see this is the networking setup. Click on edit over here, and here we need to assign the correct networking, because we have already done the setup for networking, and now we need to provision our EC2 instance into that networking setup. So if you take a look onto the diagrams, then EC2 instance is present into this public subnet under this VPC. So let's go ahead and from the drop down choose the correct VPC. So the VPC which we are using is demo NLB VPC. So select that one. And the subnet we are just gonna choose, let's go ahead and choose our public subnet 1A. So this is the one, demo NLB public subnet 1A. So I have chosen that one. Public IP, yes, I just want to enable it. And after that, security group, we just want 22, which is we are going to use for SSH. Then add one more security group, and here I'm just gonna choose HTTP port, and I'm just gonna use 80. And source type from anywhere, because this is just a demo, that's why I'm keeping it from anywhere, so that anyone can access this port 80. And because why I'm enabling port 80, because we're just gonna install the Apache and some pages, basic HTML pages onto that Apache machine, so that we can access on a port 80. So that's the reason I'm setting up this security group. Okay, and after that we just need to go to the advanced detail, and here we need to set up some installation script into the user data section. Here you can see this is the user data. Here we will write some script which will be responsible for installing the Apache as well as some custom pages, HTML pages onto that particular Apache instance. Here is my script which will install the Apache. So I'll go to this script one by one. So this is going to update the package manager for my Ubuntu. Then it is going to install the Apache. Then it is going to set up this basic index HTML page. And after that, it is just going to restart the Apache 2. So this everything will happen when we are setting up or when we are starting up our EC2 instance. So it is all the startup time setup which is happening. And once the system is up and running, then we will be able to access our Apache homepage, which is running on a port 80. And if you don't know much about this user data section, then I have prepared a separate session on this same playlist of AWS, where you will find the more details like how to work with your user data setup. So just go and check that session. Okay, so I have created this script. Just click on launch instances over here. And here you can see our instance is getting launched. So click on instances. And here you can see this is into pending state. These are some previous instances which I have been testing around, but those have been terminated. But we need to wait for this status to go running. And then we will verify our Apache homepage. And here you can see my instance is up and running. So click on this instance ID over here, copy this public address, go to the new tab and paste it over here. And here you can see this is our homepage of my Apache 2, where it is setting up the host name and IP address for that particular instance. So that concludes that my Apache has been installed successfully onto my EC2 machine. After installing the Apache, we need to set up a couple of more pages. So here you can see this is the instance IP, which we verified it, which you can see in the backend also, which is up and running. But we also need to set up custom pages. So one, I'm gonna set it foo, and one more, I'm just gonna set it bar. So that we need to set it up by going into our EC2 instances and setting up these custom pages for that particular Apache instance. We need these custom paths because we will be setting up our application load balancer, and also we will be setting up our network load balancer. So I will be able to show you the difference between how application load balancer behaves when we have a custom path and how we can set those custom rules in application load balancer. But at the same time, that is not possible with the network load balancer. So that's one more difference which we need to check when we are setting up our application load balancer as well as network load balancer. Now let's go back to our EC2 instance, and here click on connect over here, and here you will find the instructions for connecting to your EC2 instance. So first of all, you need to have the key which we have already downloaded, which you can see demo nlbkey.pam, which I have already downloaded. We need to change the permission to the 400 so that it's only read only. So I'm just going to copy this command, and I'm just going to head over to my terminal, and let me open my terminal over here. So here you can see this is my terminal. I'm just gonna, here it looks good. Now I'm just gonna clear this one, and first of all, I'm just gonna verify whether I have that key here or not. So here I'm just gonna type demo, and I need to put grep. And here you can see I have that particular key available into this particular directory. Okay, so I'm just gonna copy this command from here, and I'm just gonna change the permission. to 400 that I have changed it. And then I'm just going to click on SSH command over here so that I can SSH into that instance. So I'm just going to go back and I'm just going to paste it over here and then type yes to connect it. And here you can see I'm inside my EC2 instance. I'm just going to clear this screen over here. And first of all, let's verify the status of our Apache. So I'm just going to run system ctl status Apache 2. And here you can see it is up and running. Okay, let's create the directories first. So I'm just going to copy the command from my notepad and paste it over here. So first of all, we need to create the foo directory inside a var www.html. And you can find all these commands into the description section, so don't need to worry about it. So I'm just going to hit enter. And the next directory which I'm just going to create is for bar. So let's hit enter, and then we can verify that those directory has been created. So run the command lslart and then type var w and html, and here you can see the directory has been created, foo and bar, and we have the default index html page which we have already verified from here. The next thing which we need to do is we need to create a index.html file. We have created the directory. Let's create the index.html file. So I'm just going to clear this one and I'm just going to copy the command to create an index.html. So this is the first command which I'm just going to write to index.html inside the foo directory. Hit enter. And then I'm just going to copy the second command to write inside my index.html of bar. So here you can see this is not right, but create index.html. So here you can see we have created both the file, and we can verify by running the ls command also and going into the foo directory. And here you can see the index.html there. And similarly, if we go to the bar, then we should also see the index.html. Okay, I'm just going to clear the screen. And the next thing which we need to do, we just need to write some content inside our HTML pages inside foo as well as inside our bar. Okay, so first of all, let's open that file into edit mode. Here you can see I have put inside edit mode. Press I to go into edit mode, and then I'm just going to copy the content and I'm just going to paste it over here. So here you can see this is the message from foo inside the foo.index.html, and then after save and quit. Similarly, I'm just going to copy the another command for bar and paste it over here, hit enter and go to insert mode, and then copy the command from here, the text, sorry. And here you can see this is bar. Save and quit. And now our index.html has been placed inside my Apache 2 foo and bar. Now the thing is we need to restart our system. So I'm just going to do sudo system ctl restart Apache 2. And it will restart our Apache 2. Let's verify those pages. So go back to the home page once again. So this is the default home page which you can see, which tells us the IP address, but now we have set up foo and bar. So just click on foo over here. And here you can see this is the foo HTML page which is showing up. And similarly, I'm just going to click on bar. And here you can see the bar HTML page is also set up. So now we have set up our EC2 instance, which is up and running. And also you can see we only set up one EC2 instance, which is into running state. So I'm just going to change it to running. So here you can see this is a one instance. So I'm just going to set up a one more instance, exactly following the same step which I have just shown you. And I'm just going to set up a one more instance over here so that our load balancer can redirect those requests to the respective instances. And yeah, I'll try to come back once I have set up this whole EC2 instance and my second EC2 instance is up and running. And then we'll start to look into the target group setup and the load balancers. All right, so both the instances are up and running, and here you can see the second instance over here. I'm just going to copy the public IP address, go to the next URL tab, and here you can see this is the home page. And if I go to foo, then you will see the foo message from my Apache 2, which is running into my instance 2. Also, I have added the name so that we can identify that request is landing on which server. So that's the additional modification which I have did. And similarly, I have modified this instance HTML page also, and I have hard coded the name. So if I go here and if I go and click on let's say foo, then it will show you the demo from EC2.1. So that we can identify where the requests are going when we will start accessing it from our load balancer or network load balancer as well as the application load balancer. All right, so instances are up and running. The next thing which we need to do is we need to set up our target groups. So let's take a look onto the diagram once again. So here you can see this is the setup we have done so far, and now we will just work onto this EC2 instance subnet. So I will just remove some of the elements from this diagram, and here I'll just shift this particular EC2 instance block to the right side so that we get a more space over here. And the next thing which we need to set up is our target group. So target group will set, so this is our EC2 instance and everything is running. So now we need to create a target group over here. And this target group is just a logical group where we will be mapping our EC2 instances. So this target group will include the instances, which is like a EC2 instance 1 and EC2 instance 2, which we have created. So let's go ahead and create this target group and map those EC2 instances inside that target group. So here is my AWS dashboard, and click on this EC2 because that's where we'll find the option to create a target group. So from the left navigation menu, just go to the load balancing section and you will find the option for a target group. Then click on here, and here we need to click on create target group. So here, and here we need to choose the instances because we have set up the EC2 instances. So I'm just going to choose with the target type as instances, and the name of the target group. So I'm just going to choose NLB demo target group. TG I'm using for abbreviation. The port, which is important over here, since we are working with the network load balancer, so we cannot use the HTTP over here. So instead we need to use TCP, which you can see over here, used with a network load balancer. If you choose HTTP or HTTPS, then you will not be able to set this target group with a network load balancer. So that's the key thing which you need to keep in mind. So click on TCP over here. And IP addresses, I'm just going to stick with IPv4. VPC, we need to change from here to demo NLP VPC. Health check, I'm just going to use HTTP. Attribute, I'm just going to keep everything default over here. Then click on next. And here you can see these are the EC2 instances which we need to include within this particular target group. So select both the instances, include, and after that click on create target group over here. So here you can see our target group has been created. So if you go and take a look onto the diagram, so if I go back, so yeah, so here you can see our target group is now including our EC2 instances. Let's move ahead, and the next step we will be creating our network load balancer. So here, if we go and take a look onto this diagram, then here we have achieved this far, like target group and this networking setup along with our EC2 instances. Now we need to set up our network load balancer, but here in the diagram you will see I have created ALB, which is application load balancer, and network load balancer. We are going to see the differences between both the two, but first let's set up the network load balancer. So let's ignore this arrow as of now and just focus on this network load balancer here. So this network load balancer should point to this target group which we have just created. So now the task is we need to set up our or create our network load balancer. So let's go back to our AWS dashboard over here and go to EC2 dashboard. From the left navigation menu, click on the load balancer over here. Click on create load balancer, and here you will find the option for application load balancer and network load balancer. And I have already covered the application load balancer in previous sessions, so just go and check those sessions if you are interested in application load balancer. But let's just go and create our network load balancer first. So click on create over here, and in the load balancer name, just type the name whatever you feel comfortable. So I'm just going to put demo network load balancer. Okay, scheme is internet facing, IP address 5 is IP4, and the VPC. So I'm just going to choose demo NLB VPC, and then I just need to choose the availability zone. So I'm just going to choose 1A, and here I'm just going to choose the public subnet, and also the 1B, and here I'm also going to choose the public subnet. Okay, so these are the minimum requirement which you need to fulfill. And then security group, so I'm just going to stick with default, but later if we need it, we are just going to modify the security groups for this particular load balancer. All right, so here this is important, the listeners and routing. So now we have created our target group, and now we need to map. So if you take a look onto the diagram, so I'm talking about this arrow, sorry, not this one, but if I'm just talking about this NLB and this EC2 instance. So this NLB is pointing to this target group. So if you go and select from the drop down, then you will find the NLB demo target group which we have just created. So select this one, and if you go down, then AWS Global Accelerator. We are just not going to include that one because we are just doing it for demo. And here you can see the details like basic configuration, security group, network mapping, VPC, subnets, and this our target group and listeners. So everything is ready, and then just go ahead and create a load balancer. And here we have just created our network load balancer, and click on load balancer over here and close this one, and it is into provisioning state. So it will take a couple of minutes to provision this particular load balancer. I would like to take a pause over here. So if you are liking this kind of a session and if you want more of this kind of a session, then I would highly encourage to subscribe to this channel, because I see into my YouTube analytics that you guys are watching this video but you don't consider subscribing it. So it will be a really boost for me if you consider subscribing to this channel, because that really helped me to and keep me motivated to prepare this kind of a session. And also, if you are interested into more premium content and you want to be a part of my community, then please consider joining my YouTube community, where I will be with you on a Discord group, and where you can just chat with me and send your messages. And also there are some private sessions which are there for my community members, which are not available here onto my YouTube channel. So consider subscribing to those also. Let's continue with our session. All right, so now my network load balancer is up and running. Here you can see which is into active state now. So click on this network load balancer over here, and here copy this DNS name, go to new tab and paste it over here. And as you can see, it is not accessible because I am doubting that there is a security group for port 80 which we need to enable. So again, go back to network load balancer, go to the security setting, and check the security group, which is this one. Click on the security group and go to edit inbound rule, and here you can see there is no incoming rule allowed for port 80. So click on add rule, go to HTTP over here and set the port 80 and select 000 so that anyone can access this particular URL of our network load balancer. Okay, then click on save, and now our rule has been added. So if I go to the tab, and here you can see it is accessible now. If I zoom it over here, so it is now pointing me to my instance homepage. Okay, so if I go and put a foo over here, then it should point me. Here you can see this is our foo from demo EC2, and if I go with bar, then it should also show me the EC2 instance, although it is redirecting me only to the EC2 instance. But in a nutshell, my network load balancer is up and running, and now we are able to navigate, or we are able to access our EC2 instances. All right, so now till now we have set up our network load balancer, and we are able to access our EC2 instances and foo and bar URL. But the key difference, which I have been telling since from the beginning of this particular session, is like we cannot set up some specific URL based rule with our network load balancer. So what does it mean? So for that, we need to set up our application load balancer. So now we are going to set up our application load balancer, and then you will see the difference between the network load balancer and application load balancer. Okay, so the next chapter which we are going to cover is our setting up our application load balancer. But before we jump to our AWS console, let's take a look onto the concepts and the differences. Okay, so till now we have covered this URL where we are able to access our NLB URL, which is our network load balancer URL. So if I go into this tab, so this is our URL, which is for network load balancer. And if I change this URL, then it is redirecting me to the respective page. But if you take a look onto this network load balancer once again, then I'll close this one. So click on this network load balancer and then go to our listeners. This is the section. Click on add listeners. So here you will not find any rules which you can define for your URL pattern. So what does it mean by the URL pattern? So for that, let's take a look onto the diagram. So here in the application load balancer, there are some URL patterns. Like if URL ends with foo and URL ends with bar, then it should put some rules over here, and then it should redirect to the respective target group. So that it's properly working for URL patterns. But in the network load balancer, it is not possible. It will only give you one URL, and that URL will redirect to the EC2 instances. So although we have set up the foo and bar HTML pages, but I need more granularity, and I can set up this rule from the URL itself into load balancer, so it can direct that request to the target group. So that's the difference or the feasibility we have in our application load balancer, where we can put some rule patterns on the URL parameters which are coming in our request. So here, if it comes into as a foo, then we'll forward that request to the foo target group. If it is coming with a bar, then we'll target that request to our bar target group. So that's only possible with our application load balancer, and it is not possible with our network load balancer. So now let's try to set up our application load balancer. Okay, so I'll go back to my AWS dashboard once again. So here, go to the home page, and before that we need to modify a few things onto our EC2 instances, which I'm just going to show to you. So I'll open a notepad over here. So I'll just give me a second, and I think this is good. So here, this is my notepad over here. So right now we have EC2 1 instance and EC2 2 instance, and both the instances have foo as well as bar folder with their respective index.html page. And here also the same pattern is there, because we are having foo and bar HTML page. Okay, but now what we need to do is to define the URL pattern filter. I'll just go to EC2 and I will make it only foo, and here I will only create a foo folder, and inside that folder I'm just gonna create a index.html. So this EC2 instance will be our foo instance, and same I'll just do with the EC2 where I'll just create it as a bar instance. So here I'm just gonna do EC2, I'll just put bar, and here I'm just gonna create a bar folder, and here I'm just gonna put an index.html. So that's the difference I'm just gonna create between these two EC2 instances. And then we are gonna create a target group for this instance. This is a one target group for this instance, which is like a target, let's say foo. So this is going to be a target group for foo instances, and this is going to be a one more target group for bar instances. So I'll just put target, and then I'll put a group, and then it should be bar. So now we will create two target group, and then finally we are just gonna create an application load balancer. And application load balancer, we are just gonna define rules, and in that rules we are just gonna define if it's coming with the foo URL, then just use the foo target group. And if it is coming with, I'm just going to copy the same thing, and if it is coming with a rule like a bar, then just point to the bar target group. Okay, and this will ultimately lead you to the EC2 1 over here, and it will lead you to the EC2 2 over here. So this is the next thing which we are going to implement, but this whole thing is not possible with our network load balancer. So that's the key difference which you need to keep in mind. Okay, but there are other differences also, but this is just a one prominent one which is easy to understand, the differences between these two load balancer. Okay, so let's go back to our dashboard and start modifying those index.html pages. All right, so this is my home page of my AWS. So I'll go to EC2 over here, and I'll go to instances. I'll first rename this one. So I'll just put it like a foo, and sorry, I didn't put foo over here, and here I'm just gonna put bar. Okay, so I just renamed it. So let's go to the foo over here and copy this public IP address. I'm just gonna open my terminal over here. I'll clear it. I'll exit it first of all, clear it, and then just use the IP address to SSH into. And now I'm into my foo instance. I'll just clear it, and then I need to go to the directory var www.html, and then enter ls, and let's check again. So I am into, let me check, verify once again. So I'm into the foo instance right now, 373.11.1.105. So I am into foo instance, just to reconfirm. And okay, so what we need to do, we just need to remove the bar instance. So I'm just gonna run the command rf, and I'm just gonna remove bar. Okay, so I have removed this one. Then I need to restart my Apache systemctl and restart Apache 2. And now I have restarted my system. So let's verify from my public IP that I'm not able to access the bar page. So just hit enter. So yeah, this is accessible. I'm just gonna refresh it, and then I'm just gonna check with foo. Yeah, it is accessible. Demo to EC2. Let's check with bar, and now it should not be accessible. So it is not found. Okay. So now we have fixed our EC2 instance, which is our only foo instance now. Okay. And I'll exit it from here. Then again go back to the another instance, which is our bar instance. Click on it, copy the public IP address, go to terminal, clear the screen, and this is the SSH command. So I'm just going to change it to the IP address, clear it, and let's go to the directory. So change it to the var www html. And here I'm just gonna delete the foo folder. So I'm just gonna use sudo rmrf, and then here I'm just gonna delete foo. Okay. And after that, I just need to restart. So I'm just gonna run sudo system ctl restart apache 2. Okay, so now I have restarted it. Let's verify it. Go to the public IP and go over here, close this one, open it again. And here you can see I am onto the home page. Let's access the bar first of all. And here it is accessible on the EC2, but the foo should not be accessible over here. And here you can see the foo is gone. So now we have set up our EC2 instances. One is foo instance, one is bar instance. And now we need to create a target group for these two instances. Let's go back to our AWS dashboard once again. On the left navigation menu in the load balancer, create a target groups over here. This is the previous target group. I'm just going to create a new target group for EC2 instances. The name, I'm just going to keep it like foo target group ALB for application load balancer. Port HTTP, that's okay. And the VPC, I'm just going to choose demo NLB. Health check, I'm just going to keep it default. Click on next. And from here, I'm just going to select the foo. This is the foo instance, and then include it as a parameter below. And then click on create target group. Okay, so this first one is created. Let's go back to one more. I'm just gonna copy the name just so that I just don't need to write it again. So again, I'm just gonna create it for instances. And here I'm just gonna put bar and port HTTP. That's fine. IP4, VPC, I'm just gonna choose demo NLB. And after that, just click on next. And here I'm just gonna include our, let me check. Go previous, which one we are creating. So we are creating a bar target group, so we need to include bar instance. So click next over here, click on bar instance, include as pending below, click on create target group. Okay, so let's verify the target group. So here you can see we have a foo and bar target group created, and now we need to create our application load balancer. So here from the left navigation menu, click onto the load balancer over here, close this section and just click on create load balancer, and then select now application load balancer. Click on create and the name. So let's choose ALB foo bar LB load balancer, or maybe I can keep it foo and bar load balancer. I think that would be good. Foo bar load balancer, internet facing IP4, that's okay. VPC, I'm just gonna choose demo NLB VPC. And availability zone, I'm just gonna choose public, and here also I'm just gonna choose public, that's okay. Security group, I'm just gonna keep it default, we'll modify it later. And target group, so here we need to choose the target group. So first of all, let's choose any target group at the moment, because we will be setting up this listener rules later also, because this setup will only create a load balancer. Or maybe let's go ahead and try to create without a target group, because we need to set up those foo and bar URL based rule. That's why I'm saying, okay, so everything is done over here. Then click on create load balancer. Oh, it's not allowing me, so just select one. So let's go with the bar and then go ahead and create a load balancer. Just select randomly the target group for this particular setup. Okay, So I'll just wait for a minute so that this particular foobar load balancer is up and running, and then we'll start setting up those custom rules. All right, so now my load balancer is up and running. So click on this foobar load balancer, and here into the listeners and rules section, then we need to modify this particular listener rule. So click on this one. And here click on add rule over here. So first of all, let's put the first rule for foo, and then click on foo rule, and then click on next, click on conditions, then click on condition, select path, because we need to specify a path. So I'm just going to choose foo. If URL ends up with the foo, then it will redirect it to the foo instances target group. Click on confirm, go next. Target group, so where we need to forward, so I just need to forward it to the foo, and wait one, that's okay. Click on HTTP, select HTTP, that's also fine. Then click on next. Priority, I'm just gonna put it to 1 over here, and after that then click on next, and then click on create. Okay, so the foo rule has been created. Let's go back to foobar load balancer, then go to listeners over here, and here you can see the foo rule. Then click on add one more rule over here, then click on bar, then bar rule would be nice. Click on next, add condition, then click on path, put bar over here, click on confirm, click next. Target group, I'm just going to select with the bar, then click on next. Priority 2. It's just a random thing, you just need to assign the priority over here, but try to assign the priority which is like high, low, low, and low. So here I'm just gonna assign 1, 2, and there is a default rule. If nothing, then it will just forward it to the home page. Okay, click on next, and then click on create over here. And now both the rules has been created for us. Okay, so now we need to verify these rules. So go to load balancers over here, then click on this DNS name and go to the URL bar and type bar over here and hit enter. And here you can see we are getting redirected to our demo NLB EC2 instance. So that's quite evident that now we have a 2 target group, and once we are accessing our load balancer and that has a URL ending with a bar, then it will redirect us to the demo NLB EC2 instance, which is our bar instance. And similarly, when the URL is ending with the foo, then it will redirect me to the EC2 1 instance, which is my foo instance. So with that, I have shown you like how to set up your application load balancer, how to set up your network load balancer, how to set up your rules for foo and bar, which is possible only with the application load balancer, and how to use your network load balancer. But I haven't talked about like what are the advantages of our application load balancer and our network load balancer. So these are some few arrows which I forgot to show it to you. But anyway, let's go ahead and talk about the advantages and disadvantages and how these works internally. So application load balancer work on the layer 7, and our network load balancer works on our transport layer, which is layer number 4. So in the layer number 7, we are having the protocol which are supported like a WWW, HTTP, and HTTPS. But for transport layer 4, we only support TCP, UDP. That's why we were not able to set up those HTTP custom rule like a foo and bar rules which we have set up for application load balancer. So that's the main reason why application load balancer supports HTTP URL pattern but not network load balancer. So yeah, these are the few points which you can see onto the screen which we have just covered, and also these are the URL pattern which we have also seen. Apart from that, what are the other key differences? So application load balancer, path-based routing, TLS support, and also you can configure your WAF like web application firewall, which is available into AWS with your application load balancer. So with the help of application load balancer, you can achieve these tasks. But in the network load balancer, what you can do is it's like ultra low latency load balancer. So if you have an application where millions of requests are landing onto those particular application, then I would recommend you to use the network load balancer because it has a high throughput time. But also remember that you need to, in some of the cases, you need to specify the static IP for your network load balancer so that you can point to that network load balancer as well. So these are the few differences which I would like to mention along with the current session which we have just performed. So I hope with that your application load balancer as well as network load balancer concepts are a bit clear. And if you have any question, then please put down into the comment section. And in this video, we are going to talk about the gateway load balancer on AWS. So here you can see this is our target architectural diagram, which we are going to implement in the demo. But before we jump into the demo, let's try to understand why do we need a gateway load balancer and what is the purpose of a gateway load balancer in AWS. Let's take a very simple example to understand the gateway load balancer in AWS. So here I would like to take a very basic example on our amusement park. So here you can see onto the screen. So this is a gate to enter into the amusement park where people can go and enjoy the multiple rides and enjoy the fun time with their kids. But here you can see on this amusement park, we have a multiple gates. Here is the gate number 1, gate number 2, gate number 3, 4, and 5. So there are multiple gates through which you can enter into the amusement park. But what is the importance of having a multiple entries into the amusement park? Because there will be lots of person along with the kids will be planning to enter into the amusement park when there is a weekend. And suppose instead of having 5 gates, there will be only 1 gate. Then what will happen? Then it will create a long queue and it will take a lot of time for people to enter into the amusement park. And before people enter into the amusement park, there is a very important thing happening because there is a ticket checker or administrator sitting onto these particular gates to verify those tickets or those tickets are valid or not, so that a person with the kids can enter into this amusement park. So that's the important step happening in all of these gates. And all of these gates, if we don't have it and we only have a single gate, then it will create a long queue and then it will create a lot of delay. So to avoid that, then they have a multiple gates to enter into this amusement park. And the same concept applies for our gateway load balancer as well, where gateway load balancer acts as like a ticket checker, which allows multiple incoming requests to come in and distribute that traffic towards the destination. I hope with the simplistic example which I have just given to you will help you to understand what's the importance of our gateway load balancer. Now let's put that example into the perspective of this particular implementation which we are going to do inside the demo. So here you can see into the middle, this is our gateway load balancer, and this gateway load balancer will allow the traffic coming from this VPC. This could be multiple traffic generating from this VPC to enter into this security VPC. So this is going to be our amusement park, which you can see. It is just an hypothetical example, but just I'm providing a context with reference to the previous example I'm taking. So this is going to be our amusement park. So this is our VPC. This is going to be our ticket checker, which is our gateway load balancer, which is taking all the requests coming from this on the left hand side from our AWS course VPC. And this VPC is going to be our workload VPC, where we will have a multiple instances running in, and those are sending the request. So all of these requests will land onto this gateway load balancer, and then it will go to this appliance, and these appliances will do the traffic inspection. So with the help of gateway load balancer, we enable the traffic inspection so that those traffic can be inspected before that traffic goes out to the internet. And similarly, the same traffic, or not same, but if any other traffic which comes back in, then it is again inspected, goes through the gateway load balancer, and then it's reached back to our EC2 instances. EC2 instances is just an example, but here in this particular VPC, which is going to be our workload VPC, there could be n number of instances. For example, your Lambda, your Kubernetes cluster, your ECS, Fargate, even your EC2 instances. So it can be anything which is running into that particular VPC can be inspected. Now, how we are going to implement this particular implementation of the gateway load balancer. So first we are going to create a AWS course VPC, then we are going to create a security VPC, and then we are going to spin up the subnets, the public subnet, private subnet, and the private subnet into the security VPC. After that, we are going to spin up the EC2 instances both here into the AWS course VPC, which will be our workload VPC, which will generate the traffic towards this gateway load balancer. And then we are going to create a gateway load balancer, and then the traffic will be thrown to this EC2 instances, which is our appliances. And here we are going to inspect that particular traffic. So that's the like a potential implementation we will do into the demo. Let's wipe everything out, and we will first start with the VPC creation. So first we are going to create a AWS course VPC with this IP range, and then we are going to create a security VPC with this particular IP range. A short pause over here, and if you're liking this kind of a content on AWS, then I have recently launched my Udemy course on AWS Masterclass for Networking. And this course is 10-hour long course, and it includes 100+ chapter, which you can see there are various sections, and each section of this particular course include multiple chapter along with the demos. The course is divided into the 3 level. One will start with the basic level, second will be the intermediate level, and third will be the expert level. And at the end of this particular course, you will see a Terraform, which we quite use a lot in the industry. So I will give you a really good walkthrough and demos, including the Terraform plus networking, followed with a DevOps project where we will be using all the concepts which we have learned in this particular course so far. And in which certification this particular course is going to help you. So it is going to help you in like a cloud practitioner, developer associate, DevOps engineer, SysOps administrator, advanced networking, solution architect, and professional solution architect certification if you are planning to do those certification for AWS. Please find the course link into the description section with the discount code, and let's get back to the topic. So let's close this window over here and get back to our AWS console. So here you can see this is my AWS console, and here I'm going to click on create VPC. Here I'm going to select the VPC only option, and then I will put the VPC name. So that is going to be my VPC name. This is the IP range, so I'm going to put the IP range as I told you, and it's going to end with /16. After that, go at the bottom and click on create VPC. And this will create your first VPC into our Stockholm region, which is going to be our AWS course VPC, which is this one. Let's create the security VPC with this particular IP range, which is 81.0.0/16. So again, follow the same step, go back to your AWS console, go to your VPC, click on create VPC, and here we are going to put the name. So here I'm going to put security EU N1 VPC. The IP range I'm going to assign 81.0.0.0/16 and the tenancy default, and then at the bottom click on create VPC. And here you can see our both the VPCs has been created, which you can verify from here. So here you can see the AWS course VPC and the security VPC. Let's move further and see what are the next component which we need to create. So here you can see the next component which we need to create is the subnet. So here we are going to create our first subnet into our security VPC, and the same way we are going to create our public subnet as well as private subnet into our AWS course VPC. So let's first try to create the subnet, and then we are going to take a look about the internet gateway and the route table, and this will be done in the here as well. So in the private subnet, we will only focus on the route table in our security VPC as well as into our AWS course VPC. But let's try to create the subnet first, which is this one, and this one. Okay, so I'll close this window over here, go back to my AWS console, and here I'm going to click on this subnet, click on create subnet over here. And here first, let's work on the AWS course VPC. So choose that one, and here we need to create a subnet. So here the name of the subnet which I'm going to put, I'll copy it from my notepad and put it over here, which is going to be AWS course EU N1 subnet. Public subnet over here, and here I'm going to put 1A, and the 1A is because I'm going to work into 1A availability zone. Select that one, the CIDR range. This is the CIDR range of our VPC, and here I'm going to put the CIDR range for my subnet. So that is going to be this one. All right, so this is going to be my public subnet, I'll copy the name and add one more subnet here, paste the name and choose this one as a private subnet, and then make it as a 1B. Put it into 1B availability zone, and the CIDR range I'm going to put is 2.0/24, and then click on create subnet over here. And both the subnets has been created. If you take a look onto this particular diagram, then here you can see this subnet and this subnet has been created. I need to fix the IP address over here, which is wrong. It should be 2 over here. All right, so now we have created the subnet, and here, which you can see, and I have updated the IP address here as well. Now let's create a private subnet here into our security VPC as well with this IP range. So I'll close this window over here and go back to my AWS console, and here I'm going to click on create subnet, which you can see. Select the VPC, which is going to be a security VPC, and here I need to enter the subnet name. So here I'm going to choose security EUN1, and then we can choose private subnet. After that availability zone, I'm going to choose 1A. The IP range which we are going to specify over here is 1.0/24, and then go at the bottom and click on create subnet. And here we have created the private subnet in our security VPC, which is this one. So this is also done. Now let's try to work on this particular internet gateway, and this internet gateway is going to be created for this public subnet. All right, so I'm going to close this one over here, and let's get back to AWS console, and here on the left hand side you will find the option for an internet gateway. So click on create internet gateway, and the name of the internet gateway which I'm going to put over here is for AWS core. So I will copy the name and paste it over here. And remember, this is internet gateway in AWS Course VPC. So if you take a look onto this diagram, then here we are working onto this one, and here internet gateway is here. So that's why the name of the internet gateway is AWS Course. So get back and put the name, click on create VPC, internet gateway. Now, the next thing is that you need to attach this internet gateway to this particular VPC. All right. Now let's get back, go to actions over here, click on attach VPC, select the VPC, which is going to be AWS course, and then click on attach internet gateway. So that internet gateway has been attached to our AWS course. What is the next component? So let's get back to the diagram, and now we need to create the route table. One is going to be public and one is going to be our private route table. And one more route table we will need in the security VPC subnet as well. So keep in mind all the components we are going to create through this diagram. There is no any explicit other component which we are going to create. Any other thing not away from this diagram. Everything should be from this particular diagram. Okay. Let's start creating then route tables. So on the left hand side, click on the route tables, click on the create route table, and here we are going to put the name, and first we are going to create the public and private route table for AWS course VPC. So here I will just try to copy the name. So first let's create the public route table, AWS course EUN1 public route table, VPC should be AWS course, and then click on create route table over here. All right, the first route table, the public route table has been created. Let's create one more route table. Go over here, click on create route table, put the name and make it as a private route table. All right. Select the VPC, which is going to be AWS course one, and then click on create route table over here. All right. So now if you take a look onto that diagram, then what we have done, we have created this public route table. We have created this private route table. Now let's create this route table for security VPC as well. Close this one, go back, and here click on route tables, click on create route table, name it security route EUN1 route table, and this is going to be private route table as well. And click on security VPC. Because why private route table? Because there is no internet gateway which you can see attached to this subnet. All right, now let's go and click on create route table. Okay, all the route table has been created. Now, after creating the route table, let's fix some of the attachment and the routes. So first of all, we need to set up the route for internet gateway into this particular route table, because this is going to be our public route table. And also this route table needs to be associated with public subnet. This route table, private route table, needs to be associated with this private subnet, and this route table has to be associated with this private subnet. So let's do first this association work, and then we will attach the or create the route for an internet gateway. So I'll close it, go back, and let's start from the route table. So here, let's start with our public Stockholm route table. Which is public Stockholm, which is this one for our AWS course. So let's click on this route table, click on subnet association, and this is going to be public subnet. So here let's click on edit subnet association, and here I'm going to choose the public subnet, click on save association. All right, so here you can see our public route table has been associated with the public subnet. Same thing we need to do it with our private route table of AWS course, which is this one. Select that one, click on subnet association, click on edit subnet, and here select your private subnet and click on save association. All right, now we have done the association between these and these. Let's try to do the association for this security VPC subnet and route table as well. So for that, go back and go to route table, click on the security route table, which is this one. Select that one, click on subnet association, click on edit subnet, select the subnet, click on save association. So that's done. So if you take a look onto this diagram, then we have done this, we have done this, we have done this one also. All right, now we need to only work on this public subnet, public route table, and attach this or create this route for internet gateway, because this is the only route table or the subnet which is public. All right, I'll close this one, go back and go to the route table, and here into my public route table, which is this one, click on this route table, click on edit route. Here we need to create a route for internet. So here I'm going to put the address, which is 0.0.0.0, which is our public internet route. After that, select the internet gateway and select the internet gateway option, which we have just created in our demo, this particular demo. Select the internet gateway, then click on save changes. And here you can see the route is there now. So now if you take a look onto this particular diagram, then we pretty much implemented the VPC, then internet gateway, then route table, then subnets, which you can see. So everything has been there. So this is also there, this is also there. Same here, this is also there, and this is also there. Okay, now the only thing which is pending is now we need to spin up the EC2s over here into all of the three subnets, which is 2 into AWS course VPC subnets and 1 into security VPC subnet. Okay, and then we will gonna work on to the gateway load balancer. I'll jump to the AWS console and I'll search for a EC2 over here. Click on this EC2. And first EC2 we are going to create is into this particular subnet, which is our public subnet, and this is going to be our first virtual machine. So this is going to be called as a public virtual machine. So go back to our AWS console, close this arrow, and then click on the launch instances. And here we are going to put AWS course public VM. Okay. After that, we are going to select the Ubuntu, and here we are going to select this AMI image. That's fine. T3.micro, which is also fine. And here we need to select the key pair. So here I'm going to choose RWAG. This key pair I have already created. If in case you don't want to use existing one, then here you can click and create your new key pair, which we can use later on to log in into our Linux machine. So click on this one, and then it will download you the private key. Don't worry, I'm going to show you once we are going to log in into this virtual machine. But anyway, if you don't have it, then just click on this and create a new key pair and download that particular private key. All right, now click on network setting, click on edit, go to the VPC and select the AWS core CUN1. And this is going to be our public subnet. So here we need to choose the public subnet. Go back and from the drop down, select the public subnet, enable the public IP, and after that we need to enable this security group, which is SSH, and also let's add one more security group, which is ICMP. Okay, that's been done so that we can ping from anywhere. Click on anywhere and then click on launch instances. So this is going to be launch. This is going to launch our public instance. Let's go and check. So this instance is running. So there are some checks which will work in parallel, but in the meantime, let's copy this name because we need to create our private instance as well. So let's take a look onto the diagram. So here we did this part. Let's try to work on this part as well. Okay, this is going to be the private EC2 instance. So close this one, go back and click on launch instances. Put the name and change it to now private VM. Then go to Ubuntu over here and then select the t3.micro, same. Key pair, I'm going to choose the same one, which is this one. Click on edit, which is important. Select the VPC, which is going to be AWS course, and here subnet is going to be private. So if you take a look onto this particular diagram, then here this is going to be into private subnet. Okay, go further. Public IP, no, we cannot assign the public IP because it's a private subnet. The instance is going to run into private subnet. After that, click on add security group, click on ICMP, allow anywhere so that you can ping this EC2 instance, and after that click on launch instances. All right, so that's been done. It's running now. Okay, so let's take a look onto the diagram. So what we have done, so we have done this EC2 instance, we have done this EC2 instance, and we are pretty much done from AWS course VPC. Let's jump to security VPC, and they're going to spin up and this particular EC2 instance. All right, so here what we are going to do, one more thing I forgot to tell you, that this particular EC2 instance which is running into this particular appliances will need an internet gateway. So here we are going to attach an internet gateway, and this internet gateway I'm attaching just to show you that this instance is able to inspect the traffic. That's the only reason I'm going to attach an internet gateway over here. Otherwise, I will not be able to show you that how I am going to inspect the traffic once this traffic is thrown over here through the gateway load balancer. So what I will do, let's jump, before we create this EC2 instance, let's first fix the internet gateway over here. So although I'm mentioning that this is a private subnet, but once I attach an internet gateway, then this will not be a private subnet. But this is just for a demo purpose because I'm showing this whole demo to you. That's why I'm attaching to it. All right. So that's the explanation. I just wanted to put it up front. All right. So let's get back and go to VPC. And first, let me create an internet gateway and click on internet gateway. So here I will put like a security VPC IGW. Click on create internet gateway over here. Go to actions, click on attach, and here I'm going to attach to our security VPC. Attach to this one, click on attach internet gateway, and this is attached. Now we need to work on this particular route table to modify that particular route. So close this one, go back and go to route table, click on security route table, and here click on edit route, click on add route and add a route for there. Select internet gateway and select the internet gateway which we have just created. Select that one and save changes. All right, so that's an exception I'm giving to this particular security, not security, but this particular route table of security VPC and VPC security subnet. I hope you're enjoying these sessions, and if you're really liking this session, then please considering subscribing to this channel, and I'm soon launching my Udemy course on AWS, so please stay tuned. I will be posting the link, as well as if you are interested, then you can follow me onto my YouTube channel membership, which is also a paid membership where you will get quite a lot of insightful videos which are not available for everyone. So here in the membership section, you can see quite a lot of videos which I have already published. So please go and check that one out, and also look out for a Udemy course which I'm going to release very soon for AWS. Let's go further, and here we are going to create this particular EC2 instance which is going to be our appliance. All right, so here I'll go back to my AWS console, click on EC2 over here, and here you can see there are two already running. So let's go further down, click on launch instances over here. And here I'm going to put like a security VPC security virtual machine. I will put it EUN1 and virtual machine. Okay, click on Ubuntu over here, click on T3 micro, that's fine. Select the key which is going to be my this key, click on edit setting, select the VPC. So here we are going to choose the security VPC, and here we have only created a single subnet. Select that one, and after that we are going to create the security group over here to allow the ping. So here I'm going to select the ICMP and select from anywhere, and then click on launch instances over here. And that's going to launch my EC2 instance into this particular security subnet, which is this one. All right, let's close this one over here. And here you can see there are three EC2 instances which has been launched, two into AWS Course VPC and one into our security VPC. Now, the next thing is we need to set up our gateway load balancer, and this gateway load balancer we need to set up. If you take a look onto this particular diagram, then here we are going to set up the gateway load balancer. But to set up a gateway load balancer over here, we also need to create a target group. So this is going to be a target group over here. And in this target group, we are going to put this particular EC2 instance so that that gateway load balancer can point to this particular EC2 instance through the target group. And this target group can contain multiple EC2 instances. Right now I'm just doing the demo, so that's why I'm putting it only one EC2 instance, but it can have multiple EC2 instances over there. And everything will work into this security VPC. All right, so let's do one thing. Let's close this one and get back to our AWS console. And here, what we are going to do on the left hand side, we are going to go into the load balancing, go on to the target groups, click on this one, click on create target group. And here I'm going to create a target group for instances, and here the target group name. So here I'm going to put a security gateway LB target group. The protocol port is going to be HTTP. Let me check that one. So this is going to be, sorry, this is not going to be HTTP. This is going to be a Geneva protocol, because that is used for gateway load balancer. So which you can see over here, select that one. And this is going to run on port 6081. So keep in mind. VPC, so if you take a look, so here we are creating a target group for this gateway load balancer, and it is created into security VPC. So we are going to use the same security VPC. All right, close that one and select the VPC, which is going to be our security VPC over here. That's done. Health check, keep it TCP, and then click on next. And here you can see this is the VM, the name of the VM which we have created. So this is the VM which we need to include into this particular target group which we are planning to create over here. So this will be included into this one. Okay. So close this one and select this one, this particular virtual machine, include as pending below, and then click on create target group. So this will create a target group for our gateway load balancer. And now we are going to create a gateway load balancer. Now on the left hand side, again in the load balancing section here, click on the load balancers, click on create load balancer over here and choose the gateway load balancer, which you can see. Select the create gateway load balancer, the name of the load balancer. So here I'm going to put security gateway LB, which is gateway load balancer. Load balancer type, keep IPv4 and VPC, select the security VPC over here. Availability zone, select this availability zone because that's the only subnet we have in this availability zone. Here target group which we have just created, select that target group, and after that go further down, and here you can verify the summary of it and then just go and click on create load balancer. And here you can see the load balancer has been created. So it is into provisioning state and it will take at least 3 to 4 minutes to provision this particular gateway load balancer. So I'll be back once this gateway load balancer has been created, and then we can start working on the next steps. So after a couple of minutes, I can see my load balancer is into active state, and the key thing which you need to verify over here is the health status of our EC2 instance. So here at the bottom, click on the security target group which we have created for our load balancer, and the instance state should be healthy over here. And also one more thing, if the instance state is not coming healthy, then please check the instance, which is our EC2 instance, and you have the security group like which enables the port 80. I think I have not created this security group, but later on I have verified that this security group needs to be added so that our load balancer and target group are in healthy state. So make sure that this port is running and not running, but you have created into the security group. So right now you can see our load balancer, the gateway load balancer is up and running, and the target group is into our healthy state. Moving further, now we need to enable this traffic flow between these two VPCs. And to enable this traffic flow, what we need to do is we need to enable the cross VPC communication. Right now, both VPCs are different, but they are not able to communicate with each other. So to enable this communication, we need to work on VPC endpoint and VPC endpoint service. So what we are going to do? So what we are going to do is we are going to create a VPC endpoint service. I'm putting S, so that denotes the VPC endpoint service. And here we are going to create a VPC endpoint. So that VPC endpoint service will be for gateway load balancer, and this endpoint will be only for gateway load balancer endpoint. And this endpoint we are going to configure into this route table. So any traffic coming from this EC2 instance will go will check the route into route table, will find this endpoint over here, and this endpoint will redirect to this service, and then from here it will be able to find the gateway load balancer, and then traffic will flow over here. So this is how this whole flow gonna look like. So first let's try to set up this endpoint service for our gateway load balancer. So let's get back to our AWS console, and here on the left hand side let's go to the VPC first. And also one more thing, if you don't know about the VPC endpoint, then here is the already a video which I have prepared in the past. So please go and check this particular video where I have explained what the VPC endpoint is and how to use that VPC endpoint. So that's just for your reference in case you are not familiar with the VPC endpoint. All right, let's get back to the topic. So here on the left hand side into the VPC section, you will find the option for a VPC endpoint service actually. So this is a EC2 dashboard. So click on this VPC, and on the left hand side you will find the endpoint service. Click on this endpoint service, click on create endpoint service, put the name. So here I'm going to put the gateway LB endpoint service. Select gateway option here and select the gateway load balancer. Cross region, no, we don't want, we are working in the same region, so that I'm going to put it, and here just unselect this box. Otherwise you need to do once you create this service, once you create an endpoint, then you need to accept the request, but let's skip that particular option over here. After that, what we need to do, we just need to click on create this endpoint service, and here you can see this endpoint service has been created. So let's take a look onto this diagram. So we have created this endpoint service. Now let's create a VPC endpoint into our AWS Course VPC. So let's close this diagram over here, go back, and here on the VPC section, go to the same like endpoint service and endpoint. Now we have created the endpoint service. Let's create the endpoints over here. Click on the endpoint, click on the create endpoint, and here we need to put the name. But also one more thing which you need to keep in mind, that we need to copy the name of the VPC endpoint service. So here, let's select this particular endpoint service NLB gateway load balancer, and here in the service settings section you will find the option for a service name. So we need to provide a service name which we have just created. So for that, I'm going to open into the new tab, and I'm just going to copy the endpoint service name. So on the left hand side, click on endpoint service. So this is the endpoint service which we have created. So here you will find a service name option. So copy this particular one from here and get back over here and paste it over here. Sorry, I have not copied. So let's go back and again try to copy this particular service name from here and try to paste it and click on verify service. And here you can service name has been verified. So now our service name has been verified, and now we are going to create an endpoint. So right now, if you take a look onto this particular diagram, then here we are creating the endpoint over here, and this endpoint is using the name of the service which we have already created over here. Okay. All right, so let's get back over here, and here the VPC. So now we are going to work on to our AWS Course VPC. Subnet, so select the subnet, which is this one, and select the subnet which we have created over here. After that, let's go and click on create endpoint. And here you can see our endpoint is just getting created, and it will take a few minutes to create this particular endpoint, and I'll be back once this endpoint is up and ready. Now you can see that my VPC endpoint is ready. Now the next thing which we need to do is we need to update the route table for this VPC endpoint, which you can see ending with the CC3. So if I go back to my diagram over here, then what we will do, we have created this endpoint over here, which is this one, and this is the endpoint service which is over there. So now I'm going to update my private route table with this particular endpoint, so that any traffic which is running on EC2 will go and check the route in EC2 of this private route table, and then it will find the endpoint, and then the route will this endpoint will forward it to the security the endpoint service, and then it will go to the gateway load balancer. So let's go and check this particular route table to modify the route and use this endpoint. So here I'm into the VPC section. So here click on the route table, and remember that we are taking a look onto this private route table, which is belonging to this private subnet of our AWS course. All right. So here let's get back and check a private route table, which is this one, which you can see. Click on edit route, click on add route, and I want all the traffic of this particular private subnet to be forwarded to the global load balancer endpoint, and the VPC endpoint is ending with this ID, which is CC3, which I have specified. Select that one, click on save changes, and now our route has been modified. All right, so now how we will verify this whole connectivity? So to verify this whole connectivity, what we will do, we will just log into this particular EC2 instance, and here we are going to run the TCP dump of our network, and then it should show the IP of this particular EC2 instance, which is this one. All right, so first let's try to see what is the private IP of this EC2 instance, which is running into private subnet. Let's go and check that one first. So I'll close this one, and I'll open into the new tab and go to the instances, and here the private instance IP we should be able to find by clicking on this instance ID, and it is 163. All right. Also, one more thing, we need to log in into this EC2 instance, which I'm trying to tell is like this EC2 instance, we need to log in. And here the IP address which is ending is 169. Let me recheck once again. So if I go over here, let me close this one, and sorry, it's 163. So here, if I draw it, then here it should be 163 ending with. And I will now try to log in into this EC2 instance, and this IP range should be 81.0. I think the IP address is 1. Let me check actually. So if I go over here, I go on EC2, click on this instances, click on the security instance, and here it is 251. All right. And this is the public IP address. So I'll go on, click on connect, copy this command to log in into this EC2 instance. And here I'm just going to open one more terminal, and then I'm just going to bring that terminal over here. Just give me a minute. And here you can see this is the terminal. And here I will just go to the directory where I have downloaded my keys. And here I'm just going to paste the command. Okay, and now what I need to do is I need to run the command on TCP dump. So that command I'm going to show you. So here just clear the screen and then paste the command. All right, so right now I am setting into this EC2 instance, and this EC2 instance IP is ending with 163. So we should be able to see the logs inside here in this EC2 instance of TCP dump. And let's get back over here. I'll close this one and then run this command. And here, if you take a look, if I close this one over here, then here you can see, let me draw it once again. So here you can see the TCP dump is coming in. All right, so which means our network traffic are being forwarded to this particular EC2 instance, which you can see, which we are able to find it out. So that means our gateway load balancer has started to work. Now, if I take a look, then this particular EC2 instance traffic with this particular route table is getting inspected with forwarded with a gateway load balancer, and it is ready to be inspected into this particular EC2 instance. So that's how this whole flow is working. And this EC2 instance IP address is ending with 163. And here, this is the IP, this is the appliance which I have already logged in, which you can see into this terminal, which is ending with 81. 81.0.1.251, and this is the IP address which we have inspected. So this is how you will set up this gateway load balancer to inspect your traffic.